And with that, I would like to welcome everyone who has joined us for the session as of today. The topic for today's session is Microsoft Cloud Enterprise, Mobility and Security in Modern Work. The speaker for today's session is Ronak. During the session, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A tab on your left-hand side, and Ronak will be happy to answer them. Ronak, over to you, please.
Thank you, Chanakya, for the brief introduction. Hello, everyone. A very good morning to all of you. Thank you for giving us this opportunity on giving you a walkthrough on modern work. Of course, I think since 2019, now it's been almost nearly 3 years, we have come our way far with modern work, typically in the UAE region. And we have the modernization happening by every passing day. Today, with the modern work being the leader across the globe, especially with Microsoft 365, we are here to understand a couple of things with regards to what exactly modern work covers or what Microsoft 365 is all about. And further to that, we will be emphasizing on a couple of features that we need to consider as one of the essentials in our enterprise IT landscape in today's remote working scenario. So to start off with, I have a very basic explanation, I would say, for Microsoft 365. So, we have customers and partners coming to us and giving us a question like, oh, can you please elaborate a little bit on what is Microsoft 365 and what is Office 365? So if I have to explain a difference between O and M, I would want to rather simplify it by stating that Office 365 is just a part of Microsoft 365 complete mobility suite. So Microsoft 365 comprises of your Office 365 applications, plus your Windows 10 operating system upgrades, and the enterprise mobility and security, which comes with a list of features that you can enable in your environment to simplify and secure the access to your data across the organization. May that be within a perimeter network, or may that be outside a particular corporate network. So definitely today, precisely when we talk about the small and the mid-sized business, the challenge that they face is probably to run in sync with the day-to-day upgrades that come with technology, to make sure that their mobile workforce is as productive as they can be, to implement as much possible security as we can in order to protect the data, right? And apart from that, also protecting my environment from any kind of a vulnerability or a risk by moving to the cloud. Today, when we talk about the customers or the things that a customer would look at, probably may that be from any segment, may that be small, medium, or enterprise, they have a list of technologies to opt from. They have a list of features and they have a list of products to select from to meet the requirement of their organization. And at the same time, for you as a partner or for you as a solution provider for an end organization, it might become difficult on what solution would you want to cater to the end customer so that you have a long-term relationship as well as a generation of business by every passing month, or gradually, I would say, upscaling the same with the same customers. Microsoft 365 brings all the customers and user requirements under one single license, I would say, under one single umbrella. So broadly, today, if I am supposed to define the security landscape that I might have in my IT infrastructure, I will define it at 3 different layers. The first one will be who, as in the identity of the user who is going to access those resources. The second one would be the device on which the user is accessing. I mean, whether the device is permitted or not. So that's where. And the third one would be what. So whether it's some kind of an application or some data that is lying in the cloud or in my on-premise, which the user is trying to access. If I do not have the security at all these three layers met, it is definitely going to make my cloud defense system insufficient. And that is where your Microsoft mobility solution comes into the place, wherein you have security at all the layers, you have behavior analytics, and lastly, you have cloud application security, which is going to walk you through the entire enterprise setup that you have, and it's going to log every single activity and alert that is happening in your environment. We all know what enterprise mobility and security is all about, offered in two major flavors, that is E3 and E5. But a lot of its feature also divided across your business premium or different education suites or the ones for your frontline workers. Depends, like what exactly are you opting for. And that long list of thousands of applications that are collaborating with Microsoft EMS by every passing day to make the solution as seamless as it can be for every user, right? So practically speaking, your enterprise mobility and security brings together each of those elements that a customer would want to think of implementing in their environment. May that be your directory services, may that be Intune, may that be cloud application security or information protection, information rights management. You have MFA, PIM, application protection services, identity protection services, security center, advanced threat analytics and protection services, which in today's date are our Windows Defender for identity and Windows Defender for Office 365, right? We also have our Windows Defender for endpoints, that's for my end users, and a lot more as compared to other products and the things that can be met using governance and compliance as a part of my Microsoft 365 suite. Coming further to this, over here, Microsoft mobile productivity challenge that we have. While I try to implement the Microsoft 365 suite, I have user expectations versus IT challenges. For example, a user would want access to the data seamlessly across any operating system. They want the most familiar applications like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. At the same time, they want to collaborate and share that data with those users whom they are co-working with. And while trying to meet all these end user expectations, the challenge is that we as an IT, or I would say we as the IT security guys would have is, how am I supposed to protect the data? How should I, mitigate the risk that is coming on any kind of a file or any sensitive information? And how do we protect our data from being shared with unauthorized personnel? All of these together are met by your EMS suite. So it's productivity plus data protection, bringing the complete management together, backed by a 24/7 support. Your enterprise mobility and security is associated with multiple products, but the best thing is access to all these products only with a single identity, that is a single username and password. Unlike our traditional native environment, I do not have to log in with different credentials on different applications or wait for authentication to happen, because we have things like single sign-on, you have seamless sign-on, wherein all my authentication across the applications can be done using a single identity, using a single user. For small and medium business, you have a business category, or I would say different elements of your business suite, which will include your Office, your Exchange Online, your on-cloud data storage, right? you will have your data protection, you will have security for applications and endpoints, and at the same time, Microsoft Threat Intelligence Service in place to protect your environment from any kind of a vulnerability coming from some other solution provider or from some other file or data that is being accessed. Bringing all of these together, we broadly categorize the M365 suite under three different customer categories. The ones who are using Office 365 will now have to move to the newer variants of Microsoft 365 Business. And then if I have more than, let's say, 300 users as per the license cap, I will go for the enterprise suite. What kind of benefits will the customer get by adopting to the Microsoft 365 suite? The customer gets accessibility and remote working to all different types of applications and services from anywhere that they are. And while accessing all this data on the fly, their security is crawling and following them each and every location, each and every place they go. And to administer all of this, I do not have any complex setups or any complex environments. What I all have is a single dashboard, is a single Microsoft 365 administration portal from where I can identify each and every single element and each and every single activity that has been done or that is in progress in my environment. You get opportunities to create and collaborate together across different types of devices. Today, we all accept the fact that more than laptops, it's mobile devices which are being used by our end users to be more productive on the fly, like accessing files using OneDrive or accessing their emails on the go, having those kind of security implemented on their devices, and the additional things that I can do to link my devices to my corporate environment. So this all comes with Microsoft 365, keeping in mind that even if you are working offline, the files will sync automatically the next that you get connected to internet. Thanks to Windows Hello for Business on your new Windows 10 operating systems and the compliant devices, you can have your security on those Windows devices completely powered with the modern authentication logics like biometrics, making your users go passwordless by simply getting the device nearby and the authentication being successful. So all in all, if I am supposed to broadly categorize the kind of security that we can implement, it is going to be across four different elements, that is the user, the device, the application, and the data. And using all these four different criteria, we can define conditional access policies which will validate if the device is legitimate or not. If the device is not legitimate, the access will be denied. The moment the user's device becomes compliant, the access to those applications will be automatically granted and an event log for the same will be generated on your dashboard. Mobile application management again comes as a part of your suite, wherein your application management service will be intelligent enough to identify your work applications as well as your personal applications. Once the categorization is done, you have all your policies which will be pushed on the logically containerized work applications. And then these applications will be intelligent enough to again run with the two different logical profiles to access your corporate data and personal data. Consider an example that you receive an email from your organization which comprises of an Excel. You try to probably leak the data by saving it on your personal storage, but your application denies it. While it denies this particular save on the personal storage, you probably try to copy the data from Excel, paste it to some other application, and then try saving it on your personal cloud storage, which again is denied. And then when you try to save this data on the corporate storage, the data gets saved. What this all means is the security that you implement in the backend doesn't really just look for the name of the file, but it also does footprinting at the data level to make sure wherever the data travels, it goes completely secure. To have this kind of an environment in place, we will implement encryption of files and data to make sure that the data is accessible only by users who have the relevant decryption algorithm in place. Unless it doesn't have that particular decryption algorithm, the device will not be able to open that file. And while we talk about implementing all these kind of security and governance logics, we need to understand that this is not just limited to Microsoft applications, but has its complete scalability with third-party applications, plus your line of business on-premise native applications, or even the remote applications that might be published on Windows Virtual Desktop or a Citrix Cloud, or may that be any such other location. The good part over here is that the security that we are talking about is an identity-driven security, which makes things very much simple as compared to the earlier security that we used to implement. Reason? Every single place that the username travels, the security goes along with all the modern authentication logics in place. All right. So this particular identity-driven security becomes the biggest advantage on why you will implement a Microsoft 365 suite and how you will monitor every identity of your environment every time they travel or access their data from different geographies. This comes along with advanced threat analytics in the backend and your defender for identity as a solution, which can be implemented with your domain controllers. Advanced threat analytics gives you an information graph about the user accounts, probably the most vulnerable or the most compromised user accounts. Allows you to define those user accounts as the most critical or sensitive one, maybe by claiming as a honey token account, and then implementing a complete, I would say, scanning on that particular account in order to mitigate the risk that can come from the next attack that happens on that user account. So while you implement the ATA and the defender for identity, it simplifies how you scan what a user is doing across the devices and how those users can be protected from being attacked from some kind of a vulnerability the next time it is found in the tenant. I see a question coming up by Mr. Shiraj in the chat window, whether MAM is available as a part of the Microsoft 365 Business Standard subscription or not. Answer is no. With Business Standard, you do not get mobile device or application management that is Intune. You have two options, either to upgrade to Premium, which might be an add-on cost. Instead, you might look for a standalone Intune procurement, which can run with Business Standard subscription to satisfy the requirement of the end customer. I get a question from Mr. Ahmed whether the PowerPoint or the recording will be shared with you. For sure, this activity that is being done will be shared with you post completion of the session. as an email to all of you who have attended this particular event with us. Yeah, great. Let's proceed. So all in all, enterprise mobility and security is about identity, mobile device and application management, information protection, and behavior or threat-based analysis that can be done in your environment. When all of this is brought together, your Intune, your Azure Active Directory Premium, and your application and device-based security, they all make it enterprise mobility and security as a complete solution. The one big reason why we can probably have any customer moving to this platform is everything comes under one single umbrella rather than going and procuring separate solutions for each one of them. For archiving, for data loss prevention, may that be email protections, anti-spam services, or mobile device and application management, cloud-based storage, productive softwares, whatever it may be. You can have all of them associated with one single username and password assigned with a single license in your environment. And the good part is the entire M365 solution is a tailor-made solution. Depending upon the need of your organization, you can select what exactly is your goal, and basis your goal, you will be able to procure the products as per your requirement. So if you just wish to protect your data on files, apps, and devices, all what matters is Azure Active Directory, your information protection, and your client operating system with applications. If you wish to detect and protect against external threats, you require additional components on the Exchange front. If you want to protect your user accounts and the complete data, you come up with information protection, Intune, and conditional access. And if you want to work securely from anywhere, anytime, it's Azure Active Directory with Intune, and they will take care of every single element. So over here, I can actually offer customers tailor-made solutions depending upon the requirement of that customer. If I take this further over here, what we need to understand is that my Office 365 plans have now changed to Microsoft 365 plans right from the last April. So we have our Office 365 Business Essentials, which became Business Basic, which gives only web-based applications, right? You had Office 365 Business Premium, which becomes M365 Business Standard. You have M365 Business, which is a Business Premium, and then you have apps for business and enterprise. Every suite comes along with different features and different opportunities for the customers to use different services with different capacity capping and support from Microsoft, of course. While you actually leverage these kind of things to the end customers, over here you are building one tight relationship to cater these kind of solutions and services end to end to those end customers, making sure that they are not only procuring the license, but they are also being associated with you for services. For sure, when it comes to us as Redington and modern work that we cater, we can end to end take this particular activity right from performing the pre-sales for the customers to cloud assessments, workshop demos, unmatched professional services like end-to-end the complete Microsoft 365 suite, right from business to E3, E5, A3, A5 frontline suites. We can implement them all for you, giving you the best of competencies backed with us, letting you build that one tight relationship with the customer, where you are not only giving them the license, implementing the same for them, and also giving them managed services to protect that environment at any hour of the day. While you do this, it gives you a better market coverage wherein you will be able to capture more customers by every passing day, right? And while we talk about this kind of an environment wherein you would be actually upselling Microsoft 365 with services, it is something that the customer is going to always value and be connected with you in order to make sure that their environment is always secure. Definitely, you know the numbers. We don't need to define them. You know how Microsoft 365 has been scaling by every passing day, by every passing month. We know what kind of opportunities they get to us and how customers have been leveraging these kind of solutions and what the pain points are. While you support your end customers in their digital transformation journey, it actually becomes a value add for them, where for any kind of a Microsoft 365 based service, they will bank upon you at one single go, making sure that, okay, whatever is going to be procured or whatever is going to be managed by this particular partner is something which is going to be completely unmatched. You have the Microsoft's logic of co-selling. For sure, this is something that we will take you with one-on-one later on post completion of this session, as and when you require it to be, right? And while you do this, you need to understand the typical solutions on which you can work along with us. So Azure, I would say that is one of its kind of solution wherein we are also protecting customers by offering different security solutions. You also have Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, which is a very niche component and an in-demand solution that has been taken care of by a lot of customers for different needs. But what comes at the top today of course, considering the unfortunate pandemic situation that we are in since past nearly 1.5 years now, it is the remote working solution that we have, and that is the Microsoft 365 suite, which not only gives you Office applications, but also unified communication solutions like Microsoft Teams. You have Yammer, you have Intune mobile device and application management services. You have security, governance, and compliance coming in place, right? And at the same time, you have operating system licenses with different cloud storage facilities, which an end customer can leverage in order to make sure that whatever they do is absolutely going to consider with their Microsoft 365 suite or with the end user devices. Right. So I believe this particular thing is giving us a good insight on how Microsoft 365 as a suite, we can deliver, or how Microsoft 365 as a suite is going to help us leverage the modern work requirement of every customer, right? Mr. Mohammed, can you please elaborate your question a little more, where you have mentioned, do you have details for this slide? Which slide exactly? Kindly put it up in the chat window, Mr. Mohammed. Which slide details are you looking for? Yes, we can share this particular content on different sales plays with you. somebody from our Redington team internally will be providing the same to you post completion of the session. Yeah. So do not worry about it. This will be shared with you. So apart from this team, do we have any additional questions to what we have just witnessed for Microsoft 365? If you have any questions, we can for sure have those questions put up in the chat window, and we would be more than happy to answer those questions. If not, then Chanakya, in that case, can I put it over to you to have the conclusion of the session done?
Right, Ronak. Thank you so much for your time and a wonderful presentation. Thank you everyone for joining us today for the session. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Ronak or to us. With that, we
Um,
conclude today's session.
Yeah, I think because we do not have any additional questions in the chat window, so probably
Right.
we can send an email to all our valuable attendees with the content of the session. And once we send that, if there are any queries, we can answer those queries on the fly itself on
Sure.
the email. Yeah.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Ronak.
thank you everybody for attending the session.